There are places buried deep beneath the earth, places where light never reaches, where time stands still and silence hides secrets. You think you're just exploring an old cave, but down there in the darkness, something might be watching. Strange sounds with no source, footsteps behind you when no one's there, cold air brushing past your neck, even though nothing moves. And sometimes people enter these places and leave with stories that should not exist. In today's video, we'll dive into 3 real cave encounters shared by people who made it out, but never forgot what they saw. These aren't urban legends, they're first-hand accounts. So turn down the lights, put on your headphones, and prepare yourself, because what waits in the dark doesn't always stay there. 1. The Flash. A photo you were never meant to see. I was 15 when this happened. My parents were out of town for a few days, so I was home alone. Bored on the second night, I invited my best friend Justin over. While we were playing Xbox, Justin mentioned a hidden cave he'd stumbled across earlier on his walk to my house. Out of curiosity and maybe teenage recklessness, we decided to go check it out, even though it was already late. The cave entrance was tucked away behind thick trees. It was barely the size of a doorway. Inside, we found trash scattered around. Empty bottles, snack wrappers, evidence that someone had been there. Then came the smell. A horrible sour stench filled the air. It was coming from a large black bag shoved into the corner. Next to it was a sleeping setup and some takeout bags. That's when Justin picked up a dusty black notebook and opened it. He dropped it immediately, visibly shaken. It's full of really disturbing photos. I never got to see them myself because just then, a white flash lit up the cave, like the blink of a camera shutter. We didn't speak, we just ran. The next day, we reported it to the police. They investigated, but the place was empty. No sleeping bag, no notebook, no black bag, just leftover trash. I still ask myself, who took that picture? And what was inside the bag that smelled so awful? The cut line, figures in the trees. I've always loved cave exploring with my 2 closest friends, Miles and Ruben. One of our favorite spots was a massive underground system out in the woods, full of tight passages and tunnels. To avoid getting lost, we always tied a rope to the entrance and brought it along with us inside. That day we parked as usual. The only other vehicle there was an old white pickup truck with a man sitting inside, watching us silently. I tried to wave. He didn't respond. Once inside the cave, we made our way through the maze until suddenly I felt the rope jerk, then go completely slack. It had been cut. Instant panic. The cave was a labyrinth, and without the rope, getting out would be nearly impossible. We retraced our steps frantically, making wrong turns, struggling through tight spaces until finally, after what felt like hours, we saw daylight. But what we saw next stopped us cold. 6 figures stood at the edge of the forest. One of them was the man from the pickup. None of them said a word. They just watched. Each one held something long and metallic in their hands, though we couldn't see clearly what. We grabbed our gear and ran. We didn't stop until we were back at the car and gone. We never returned to that place, and we still don't know who or what they were. Sugar 3. The Man in the Mine, Laughter in the Dark. I was 12 when my family moved from a busy city to a quiet rural area. Not long after, I found an old abandoned mining site a couple of miles from our house rail tracks. Rusted gear and tunnels that led into darkness. Naturally, I told my classmate Jackson about it, and we planned to explore it after school. The entrance to the cave looked like a mouth leading into blackness. We only had our phone flashlights, which barely lit a few feet ahead. We agreed not to go too far in, but a couple of minutes later, we realized we had already lost sight of the entrance. I told Jackson we should turn back. He agreed. But as we started walking out, he froze and whispered, "Someone just walked past the entrance." I looked but saw nothing. Then a head slowly peeked around the corner, looking into the cave. We dropped flat against the wall, barely breathing. Then we heard it. Laughter, slow, cold, echoing through the cave. A man stepped inside. He wore dirty overalls and heavy boots. In his hand was something long and shiny, I couldn't tell what. He walked deeper in, scanning the cave. When he got closer, about 12 feet from us, he paused, squinted, and then, thankfully, turned around and left. But we were too afraid to leave immediately. What if he was waiting outside? So, we stayed hidden for 5 hours. No lights, no sound, just silence and fear. At midnight, we decided to sneak out. Jackson was ahead of me. As we neared the exit, he suddenly bolted. I didn't ask why, I just ran after him. We crashed through the trees, and as my house came into view, I saw red and blue flashing lights police cars. My parents had called for help. Later, Jackson told me he thought he saw someone crouched near the exit watching us. I wasn't sure what I believed, but I will say this. As we ran, I swear I heard a third set of footsteps right behind us. For the shadow in the abandoned French catacombs. A group of amateur filmmakers once ventured into the Paris catacombs, a vast underground labyrinth filled with thousands of human remains. Everything seemed quiet at first, but as they descended over 300 meters underground, their camera captured a shadowy figure crossing the tunnel ahead, even though no one from the group had gone forward. Then, faint laughter echoed around them, not from one direction, but from all sides, as if the cave was filled with unseen people watching. When they turned back, the map no longer matched the tunnels, and the footage later revealed someone whispering, "There's someone behind us," but no flashlight. To this day, no one from that group has ever dared to return below. Furnikum 5, the path that wasn't on the map, Shifting Cave in Turkey. In the mountains of Cappadocia, Turkey lies an ancient cave system once used as a hidden shelter centuries ago. In 2017, a group of tourists wandered into a narrow passage not shown on any official map. Inside, they found a stone wall carved with slumped human figures, along with strange maze-like symbols. As they tried to return, every tunnel seemed different. A local guide later claimed that their own footprints were leading them in circles, despite walking straight. After 8 hours of radio silence, the group finally returned to the entrance, but all their watches were 13 minutes slow. No one could explain what had happened in that missing time. If you thought these 3 cave stories were disturbing, just wait until you hear about the mysterious disappearances inside forests with no way out, or the underground chambers where people hear whispers even when the rooms are completely empty. Make sure to like this video if it sent chills down your spine, and subscribe to Mystery Drop because what's coming next might just keep you up at night. And if you've ever heard a strange story or experienced something you couldn't explain, drop it in the comments. Who knows? The next story might be yours.